speak behind me? All right. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Hyde Park Town Board meeting. It's our regular meeting, public hearings, and workshop. It's Monday, October 15th, so please join me as we pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have a lot on our agenda tonight. The first item is to accept the minutes of September 24th and October 1st and October 4th.
Make a motion?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and we have a number of resolutions on the agenda. So anyone who would like to comment on those, please join us at the podium and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening, Supervisor Rohr and members of the Town Board. My name is Patricia Homan, and I am a realtor with Christine Jones Realty and a resident of Hyde Park for 57 years. I speak on behalf of the Dutchess County Association of Realtors, an over 800-member organization that serves as the leading advocate for home ownership rights in the Mid-Hudson Valley. Every day, realtors see firsthand how skyrocketed taxes hurt our families and businesses. According to a recent study by Wallet Hub, New York has the highest total tax burden in the nation. High property taxes can postpone and even discourage young couples from entering into the housing market and have also contributed to an out-migration of New York residents. According to a study by the Empire Center for Public Policy, 1.02 million more people left New York for other states than moved here between 2010 and 2017. That represents a 5.3% of the state's 2010 population. Percentage-wise, that negative net migration was greater than any state except Alaska. While all this sounds ominous, the economic conditions in New York would be much worse if not the enactment of the property tax cap in 2012. Since its inception, the state's 2% tax cap has saved New Yorkers $23 billion, according to the New York State Senate. Taxpayers in Dutchess County has seen an average of $2,100 in property tax savings in that time, according to a report from the governor's office. Realtors were strong advocates for the creation of that property tax in 2011. Our nation-leading property tax burden is preventing too many New Yorkers from achieving the American dream of home ownership and making it more difficult for families to keep their lifelong homes. By potentially overriding the tax cap, you are putting the dream of home ownership out of reach for individuals looking to put down roots in our beautiful Hudson Valley. You are also jeopardizing the tax rebate that most of us received recently. The town of Hyde Park is a great place to live and raise a family. With rolling picturesque terrain, it provides a wealth of resources for its residents. I know how difficult it is to serve the community that you care so much about. I have worked in public service for 43 years and saw firsthand the difficult decisions that must be made every single day. Tonight, I am asking you to make another difficult decision. I ask that you not override the tax cap. It has saved Dutchess County residents money and has made ownership a reality for so many. We can't afford to go backwards. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Would anyone else like to speak on any matter before us on the resolutions? Okay, so we will move on shortly to the public hearings, but I just did want to make a few points in response to your statements. Well, every single year we have passed the override of the tax cap, and we have not overridden the tax cap. It's just a precautionary measure that all towns should do in the event that their calculation may be in error or they see an unforeseen circumstance. So we have this on the agenda, and it's really a precautionary thing. We will be under the tax cap. That's what my tentative budget is, and it looks like that's where we will be unless the board decides to make some changes. But, you know, I'm proud to say we agree with you, and we've worked very, very hard to stay under the tax cap, and it really has resulted in a lot of effective management of tax dollars, and so we're pleased to be able to do that. So thank you for those comments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really, I'm proud that we have worked together to stay under the tax cap year after year, and I intend personally that we will do that again this year. And, it's great to see more homes being sold in Hyde Park and more young families moving here, and I hope that continues.
Absolutely.
And I know going through the budget process, I mean, we have our highway superintendent, Howie Fisher, here, and we work hand in hand, and we really, with each leadership of each department, they really watch the penny so we can all stay under that tax cap. So I appreciate your comments as well, and I'm proud to say that we haven't gone over that, and we're striving to do that again this year. So. Yep,
I'm sure that we will. But again, it's a precautionary thing, and it's all about doing the responsible thing for the town, and that's what why that resolution is on there. But I did want to just question one of your statements, where your contention that residents won't receive a rebate. I believe that's limited to school taxes, the rebates. I could be wrong on that, but I really think that it's the school taxes that are now generating the rebates. Right. I could check that fact.
I just checked with the state, and this is what they said. If the town goes over that cap, it jeopardizes our tax rebates.
Okay, I'll have to check on that, because it was my understanding that it was really the schools that generate that. And really, just to speak to that issue too, I hope you're aware that really 78% of people's tax bills are school taxes, and the remain.
Oh, I know, I pay them.
Yeah, but I think people tend to just lump them all together and say, oh, it's the outrageous taxes, but the town's tax is about 6%, so the school's about 78% of your total tax bill. The remaining 22% is split between the town, the special districts like your highway or your fire or your library tax, and the county. So, we're definitely in agreement with that, and do all we can.
Every penny counts for some of these people, every penny.
Well, we certainly understand that. Every penny counts for us too.
Yeah.
Right, Howie? And really, it's been a pleasure to work with Howie, because
One more penny.
right, that's right. And we frequently utilize grant monies to do special projects. Actually, almost all our projects are done with grant monies. And frequently we get comments like, why don't you use them for roads? That was and hey, I wish there were grant programs for roads. In fact, that's something that I've asked the county to do. Instead of having these shared service projects that are dedicated to special things, like perhaps a truck, or perhaps, I don't know, there's a million things that people apply for. It would be so great if they could actually redesign that program to give additional monies for roads, because that is really one of our largest responsibilities. It's the things that people really care about their neighborhoods. So any funding that we can get that goes towards roads really makes a difference, not just in the quality of life, but really in terms of the tax liabilities. So again, that's something that Howie actually addressed, and he was able to expand the number of roads that the town has listed with the state, so we were able to get additional CHIPS money for that. And it's definitely an interesting time in government, because there is this real desire to cooperate and to share services, and I'm really proud of our record there. So anyone else have a comment on any of the other items? Okay, so what we're going to do is open the public hearings for a number of the local laws. The first one is the continued public hearing for the proposed local law number F of the year 2018, a local law amending Chapter 90 of the Town Code with regard to obligations to maintain sidewalks. So being as that's a continuation, I don't believe that you have to read the public hearing notice. So would anyone like to make a comment on that local law? Okay, we've had that around for a while, so unless we do, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Make that motion?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the second item on the agenda is the new public hearing on the adoption of local law number G of 2018 entitled the Town of Hyde Park Grass Maintenance Law. And Madam Clerk, could you please read the public hearing notice?
Please take notice that the Town Board has scheduled a public hearing on the adoption of Local Law G of 2018 entitled the Town of Hyde Park Grass Maintenance Law for October 15th, 2018 at 7:05 p.m. at the Hyde Park Town Hall, located at 4383 Albany Post Road, Hyde Park, New York. The purpose of said local law is to provide an expedited process for addressing and correcting violations of New York State Property Maintenance Code with regard to maintenance of lawns. A copy of said local law is available for inspection at the town clerk's office during normal business hours and shall be posted on the town's official website. Any persons desiring to be heard at said public hearing shall be given an opportunity to do so. By order of the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park, September 24th, 2018, Hyde Park, New York, Donna McGrogan, Town Clerk.
Okay, just to bring everyone up to speed, we are passing this law along with a item on the fee schedule to make it a much more expeditious process to mow lawns of abandoned properties or people that neglect to maintain them. And it's worked really well. We had a prior version, but we've tweaked it a little bit, and it's been really great to be able to get in there and mow these lawns and then attach the taxes for the cost. So that is, again, that'll be on the fee schedule, which is one of our resolutions. So if anyone would like to speak on that agenda, on that public hearing notice, please do so. Join us at the podium. Okay, so with that, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
So we have a third public hearing on the adoption of the proposed local law number H to override the tax levy limit for fiscal year 2019.
Please take notice that the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park shall conduct a public hearing on the adoption of the proposed local law entitled Override of the Tax Levy Limit for Fiscal Year 2019 pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 3-C, on October 15th, 2018 at 7:10 p.m. at the Town of Hyde Park Town Hall, located at 4383 Albany Post Road, Hyde Park, New York. A copy of said proposed local law is available for inspection and review in the office of the town clerk during regular business hours. Any person desiring to be heard on the adoption of said local law shall be provided an opportunity to do so at the public hearing. By order of the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park, dated September 24th, 2018, Hyde Park, New York, Donna McGrogan, Town Clerk.
Okay, we heard from Ms. Holman at the public comment on the resolutions, but if anyone would like to comment on this local law, please join us at the podium. Okay, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion?
And I second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Just might want to mention that if we do not exceed the tax cap, we rescind this local law,
Okay,
so it
sure.
will not impact any rebates that people are entitled
Okay,
to.
sure, well, I thought I did, but,
I'm just saying.
oh, not in those exact words. So, we, as I said, we don't plan to exceed the tax cap. This was a precautionary measure. And what will happen is when we pass the budget on November 12th or 13th, whatever that date is, we will rescind this law. And that is what we expect, and there will be no impact to any local taxpayers.
Right.
Okay, so we have a fourth public hearing to discuss the use of the Dutchess County Community Development Block Grant Program funds for fiscal year 2019.
Please take notice that the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park shall conduct a public hearing to discuss the use of Dutchess County Community Development Block Grant Program funds for the fiscal year 2019 on October 15th, 2018 at 7:15 p.m. at the Town of Hyde Park Town Hall, located at 4383 Albany Post Road, Hyde Park, New York. Any resident of the Town of Hyde Park shall be entitled to be heard upon said proposed application to the Dutchess County Community Development Block Grant Program for the fiscal year 2019 at such hearing. By order of the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park, dated October 4th, 2018, Hyde Park, New York, Donna McGrogan, Town Clerk.
Okay, but maybe I should just go over the proposed project before anyone would like to speak. But at our last meeting, we discussed along with the rec commissioners a potential project for the community development block grant monies. And these are monies that are federal monies that are administered through the county every year. And there's a lot of requirements that one must meet in order to apply for them. One of them is that the project must be in a low to moderate income neighborhood or serve a low to moderate income population. And there are other requirements. We've done a number of projects, sidewalk projects, which we are doing one on Pine Woods Road, which is also funded with the Community Development Block Grant monies. And residents may see the sign that's been posted there. But for 2019, we kicked around a lot of different ideas, and we came up with the improvement to the Green Tree Park that exists in that neighborhood. I don't. Do you know how many homes are in that neighborhood? Is it around 100?
It's around 150, maybe 120 to 150.
And that does qualify for the low to moderate income area. And so what we've done is asked our town engineers to put together a plan to create this improvement at the park. It'll include a swing set, a play set. There will be some drainage improvements because it is a wet area. And there are going to be an ADA accessible walkway to reach the playground will be installed. So there is the total project is expected to be about $135, and for sidewalk projects, the maximum value that can be given is 150, but for parks it's 100. So the 35 is likely, it will come from the Rec Trust Fund. So it's gonna be a really nice project. We look forward to making the application. It's pretty competitive, and so we don't know whether we will actually receive the monies. It seems like it's a every other year phenomena. And so last year we had applied for a really good project, we believed, to convert the former Roosevelt Firehouse to a park, which we did not get. So we'll try again this year, and this is the public hearing as part of the process. And so if anyone has any questions or would like to make a statement on this project, please join us at the podium. Okay, so does anyone else have anything to add to that?
I just had one question. If we are not awarded that grant, is that something that the rec commission would still want to move forward? I mean, because
they'd have to talk about that, because I know they're also looking at the basketball.
At the
court.
basketball,
Yeah.
okay, that's moving forward this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll
hopefully.
see that, we don't have that on this evening's agenda, but they would like to revive that plan
Yeah.
to improve the basketball court in Stottsburg, and so that's projected to be about a $40,000 improvement.
Right.
And so
Great.
our plan is to go forward with that with the Rec Trust
Great.
funds.
And I think we'd also discussed that some upgrades are needed in the short term at the pool, right?
Oh,
That
right.
would also come out of the Rec
At
Trust?
Rec Trust,
or-
right.
Depending on exactly
Depends.
what they are.
Yeah, okay,
Mhm.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there also in the recreation budget for this year is a request to purchase a new tractor, which we will be doing, I'm sure, and a couple other items. So, but I think that if you can do these projects, actually, it's about the only way to do special projects
Yes.
is with grant funding, and we've been very, very successful at that. And the county has been a great partner for us, and so we'll throw our hat in the ring again this year. Okay.
Great.
So then may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the next item is, we have three workshops actually, and tonight we're joined by our town historian, Shannon Butler, and Denise Burns, are you the historian? The chair, okay. Can you guys join us up here and we can, because we're going to talk about the Crum Elbow Meeting House and Cemetery, and thank you for joining us all the way from Clinton.
No, we're in Hyde Park.
Oh, but aren't you in Clinton? Aren't you associated with the other project there?
No.
No, for some reason I thought you were. Okay.
No, Crum Elbow is in the town of Hyde Park.
No, I know, but aren't you involved in another, the Quaker Meeting House? Is that in Clinton?
That's in Hyde Park.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was Clinton. Okay.
There is one in Clinton,
Oh, well.
and it's often confused.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that
There's a
must-
very active one in Clinton, and I'm trying to make this one that
Oh,
active.
okay.
Gotcha.
Then everybody will know about it.
Okay. Well, you can see I didn't.
That's okay. That's all
Okay,
right.
well, thank you for coming in, Denise.
Yeah, I'm hoping to drum up some interest, and Crum Elbow Meeting House started with a community in Pleasant Plains, which would be in the town of Clinton, around the 1780s. And there was a community of Quakers that left the Nine Partners group in Millbrook because they had different thinking, and they followed a preacher named Elias Hicks, and they became Hicksites. And there are still Hicks around the area who were descendants of Elias Hicks.
Interesting.
They were on the Crum Elbow Creek
Microphone.
in Pleasant Plains. I'm sorry. They were on the Crum Elbow Creek, which goes through Pleasant Plains. And after 10 years or 15 years of meeting in homes of Mordecai Frost, they decided to build a meeting house, which is now on what is known as North Quaker Lane because of this Quaker community. And they kept the name Crum Elbow, even though Crum Elbow Meeting House is now on the Fallkill Creek. So it's confusing to people. They kept the name because that's where they started. So John Briggs was a local farmer, builder, millwright, wheelwright. He had been in the Revolutionary War and was given a land grant. And out of that, in that Quaker Lane area, he donated land for a schoolhouse that my father went to, which is on Netherwood Road, a one-room schoolhouse, and donated a lot of time and built this meeting house, which is on North Quaker, in 1798.
Could you kind of locate that for us? And just, if
It's
we
right
were,
490 North Quaker Lane.
so if you're heading, about how far is it
If
from-
you were at the intersection of North and South Quaker, Crum Elbow, and Netherwood Road, you would go left.
Right.
Approximately 3/4 of a mile past Victory Lake Nursing Home, now known as the Eleanor. It is on the right. It has a white fence, and it's surrounded by an active cemetery
Okay.
with people, the Tellers, the Stoutenbergs, Barbara Hobens called it the who's who of Hyde Park. They were people who had maybe different thinking.
Yep.
Yep, there's a
Yeah.
picture, and I
Yes.
have a book for you. Thank you. I also brought one of those. So the interior of Crum Elbow Meeting House is authentic, and it's one of the last authentic meeting houses, if not the only one in New York State. It's not been adapted, modernized. It does not have plumbing or electric. It has an outhouse, and it's unique. Shannon had a tour Barbara Hobens had a tour, and they both said, you know, you have to preserve this. It has carvings in the upstairs where the boys would be, where they took their jackknives and carved their names and dates in, and it's just cool.
Yeah.
So I live nearby. My family farm that my grandfather bought in 1910 had been the Van Wagners, who were some of the original Quakers in the area. There are Van Wagners all over the place. And Van Wagner Road, some of the families that were members of this community are the Wards. There's a Ward Road, Marshalls, there's a Marshall Road, Ring, there's a Ring Road, Browning, there's a Browning Road, and Van Wagner Road. This was an enormous Quaker community, one of the biggest communities in Dutchess County, other than Philadelphia, of Quakers. So I'm really trying to preserve this meeting house. There was a rumor that the Dutchess County Fair possibly wanted to move it to the fairgrounds, and that motivated me to keep it where it is.
Yeah, if you moved it, it would take it out of context because those graves that are around it, I mean, most of the people who are buried there were part of that congregation.
Sure.
And it's really the oldest religious institution in Hyde Park, this Quaker house. And we have a lot of wonderful historic sites in Hyde Park already, but they're like mansions. And they focus on really wealthy people, and they focus on human rights work as well, and of course the Depression and so forth. But now we've also got the New Guinea site, which focuses on slavery in Hyde Park and the early African-American traditions that were here. That's a work in progress, is developing. But the Quaker house would be a nice sort of addition to that, because I think with a little bit more research, you could connect the Quaker house to the New Guinea site, since Quakers were well-known abolitionists. And I think that if we did a little bit more work on that, we could probably bring those two sites together, which would be a great educational opportunity and a great addition to the heritage that the town already has.
Great.
It is on the National and State Historic Registry of Historic Sites.
Who owns and
1989.
I'm sorry, who owns and maintains that now?
The meeting house is owned by the Crum Elbow Rural Cemetery Association, which is a group of older people who have family buried there, and they probably plan to be buried there themselves. And they're getting older and tired, and they don't have a lot of money. The money comes in with burials of $1,000 a grave, and they have an average of 5 burials a year. So the meeting house has been neglected. We raised money last year with private donations and did a condition assessment that is a complete, from top to bottom assessment with pictures of the rotten boards and the bat guano and all of the conditions that need repair. And we have a contractor, Matt Alexander, who's from Hyde Park. He lives in Catskill now, but he is a Roosevelt graduate, 1994, I think. And he has been so good to just put in time as we have money. So we'll have $2,000 and he'll do a little work. And then we'll call him and say, okay, we were just given $5,000 by a Hyde Park boy, you know, Mark Milano.
Oh,
You know
really?
Mark.
Yeah.
Grew up near Park Place.
Yeah.
And he just gave me a nice donation. So now we can get to the point of cleaning it up so the public can come in.
Nice.
Because it's been too dusty and dirty and batty to let people in safely. Shannon came in.
So are you you have nonprofit status, so people
It is
can
nonprofit
donate
status.
to you?
And that's one of the situations that we have. It's a 501c13 because it's a cemetery. Some foundations cannot give to a 13, they can only give to a 501c3.
Right.
So, one of the things that I would like to ask the board is that if you have resources or anyone that you know who could help us change it to a 501c3, give us advice regarding that, and maybe help with grants. We have 3 people who are helping with grant writing, but the 501c3 would help a lot. It may not be complicated to do. We also have a CPA that has our power of attorney to help with our communication with the IRS. So
That's
that's
great.
where we've come. When I started 3 years ago, they had lost their nonprofit status because they hadn't properly filled out tax forms
Yeah.
that evidently had changed,
Yes,
and it just was a mistake.
sure.
But we got it back, and now we're trying to raise money and little by little fix it up so it can be used for tourism, educational purposes, and the community.
That's great.
And if people wanted to get involved, who would they contact? How would they contact you?
Actually, on Thursday, there's going to be an article that Shannon wrote in the Northern Duchess News, that publication, all about it. And it's me, I'm the chair of preservation. It's a separate account from the Cemetery Association. So the monies that come in from burials are specifically to maintain the cemetery and the grounds. The money that comes in for the preservation is specifically for the meeting house.
Meeting house.
And if anyone would like to see it, I love to show it, because it's so
I'd love to,
interesting.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd love to
It
do
has
that.
the authentic benches inside, the original plaster walls with the lath underneath that you can see, most of the original glass that isn't broken, wavy glass. And it's fairly authentic from about 1820.
Did your report give you a budget of?
Yes.
and
The budget, it's in 3 priorities, priority 1, 2, and 3. The total is $182,000. And we are applying for grants as we can. We're not eligible for some because there's one for sacred sites that we're not eligible for.
It has to be an active church in order to
Yes,
receive money from that.
Exactly. We're not an active church, and there's a little glitch because it's owned by the cemetery, but we are eligible for a lot of other ones, and we're trying to do that.
Okay, good.
Wow.
Well, I look forward to reading the article and to taking a tour with you, and
Yeah.
definitely keep us apprised of your fundraising efforts. And
Okay, and it's also in Owen Dow's mural in the post office. It's on that mural.
Is that right?
Yep,
Yeah.
Wow.
yep. It's on the right side,
Yeah.
to the right of the door that goes back to the mailboxes. It's up above, and it's supposed to be, I think it says it's circa 1820.
So-
1820, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's great you and Shannon have connected, and Shannon wrote her first grant for us, right?
Yeah.
And we're moving ahead on that, so maybe there's other grants that we
I'm always willing to try.
And we're definitely willing to be very supportive on any efforts that you undertake.
Okay, thank you. You did write a letter for me 3 years ago, but I think I need a new one.
Okay.
And
Uh,
Denise, for the people that are listening at home, how would they get in touch with you?
I'm
By
on
email?
Facebook.
Okay.
My email is dburnes, DBYRNES 52 @gmail.com.
You do have a Facebook site.
And it
too.
is on Facebook,
Right.
under Crum Elbow.
Right.
Yeah.
You gave a talk to the Hyde Park Historical Society about a year ago.
In April.
You're right.
Yep, I talked to the Hyde Park Historical
Amazing
Society.
place that is.
I showed photographs.
And what they did was, I think, gave you a small donation that night.
They did.
And then split the 50-50 with you. And I'm a member of that group. My other hat is a member of the Historical Society.
That was appreciated.
Yeah, and they were talking about giving you more money, but they would like to see some maybe grants go after that, and maybe you
Yes.
need matching funds. We could help with that somewhat.
Yes.
Right now, we're working on the Little Red Schoolhouse up at North
Okay.
Park Elementary, because was falling apart pretty bad. So we got a lot of money going into that, but we certainly are all for you guys.
Thank you.
And we'd probably help you in the future any way we could.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, well, thank you very
Thank you
much.
for your work
It's very
there.
informative.
That's
Yeah, good
fantastic.
work.
Everybody's a volunteer there, so it's.
A lot of
it's
dedicated
remarkable
people.
That there, so much has
Actually, a
been
sliding
done.
door.
Yeah.
This lady's dedicated, I just gotta say.
I can tell. Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks. Okay, yes. And then, we'll dig out my letter and yeah, Sure, sharpen it up a little bit.
That's
Thanks,
fantastic.
Denise. Thanks, Shannon. Actually, I've always wondered what that building was. Driven by it millions of times. Is there a sign? Is there a sign out front, or is there a historical marker, or?
Yes, it says Crum Elbow, but there's a bush in front of it.
Oh, okay.
Some of the grants we were talking about getting another one of those.
Yeah, get the historical markers.
Pomeroy, yeah.
Good.
Great,
Okay, well,
thank you so
thanks
much.
again.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is another very impassioned individual, and that's Jack Fenton from Meals on Wheels. So could you join us up at the table? And Jack's been an amazing advocate for this wonderful program, and I've had the pleasure of driving with him on a few occasions, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Supervisor. I appreciate being here, and welcome town council members as well. The meeting house is just about 1 mile from my house.
Oh, yeah?
And the reason I know that is before I put on my winter weight with the colder weather coming, I would jog from my house 1 mile to the corner of the cemetery and back again. So I know the mileage of that.
That's great.
Several years ago, when Regina Chaley was still in business as a school, I had the opportunity as the president of the board of directors for Meals on Wheels to go over and accept some money that the children had gathered during Lent and given to us, which we really appreciated. And just to give them an idea of what we did and who received our services, I told them that if they ate 3 meals a day every day in the course of a year, they would have a little over about 1,100 meals. And I said, but at that time, we had served over 15,000 meals during, would have served 15,000 meals during that year as well. So they were impressed with that. I thought I was on a good streak, so I continued, and I said, well, who would be the oldest person that you know? One little girl's hand shot up before I even finished the question. I said, yes, and she said, Jesus. So I said, let me rephrase. Who's the oldest person you know that you could take a meal to tomorrow? Oh, probably my grandfather. But the reaction of the teachers when she said Jesus, they were all like, that's very nice. So that, I just wanted them to understand that the money they were donating is for a really important cause. I agree with this first speaker that every penny counts. There's no question about that, and never more so than for our senior neighbors. So October is the month that we were founded in 1975 and have operated nonstop since that time. And currently we're serving almost 60 people a day in Greater Hyde Park, and we also picked up the village of Rhinebeck 3 years ago by request. They asked us to come up and see if we could provide services up there. We can't go much beyond that because the meals have to be a certain temperature to meet health department guidelines, so either we'd have to change the method of delivering meals, whatever it might be, but we also have a limit on how many meals we can fit in the oven at one time at the kitchen we use at the Hyde Park United Methodist Church. So when we get up to around 60, that would be a great place to be, and then we'd have to figure out how we could expand beyond that. But for the time being, those are the folks that we're serving. You need to be 60 years of age or older or have a disability for us to provide services to you. The vast majority of the people receive ongoing meals, usually because of age. We look at people who have difficulty either shopping for their own meals or preparing them. So that's the general criteria. We don't look at people's income at all. We don't have any questions about that. It's simply based on your ability to pay $23 a week to receive 5 home-delivered nutritious meals each week. In addition to that, you can also receive a second sandwich, which most people eat at night because the meals come to you straight out of the oven and ready to be eaten at lunchtime. For an extra $1 a day, you can also get that second meal. So for $28 a week, you can get 10 meals for individuals. We had our board meeting this afternoon, and through the end of September, we had served both a combination of hot and cold meals. Cold meal not meaning that we delivered it late, and that's why it was cold. Cold meal is the sandwich that's supposed to be served cold. We had delivered 15,714 hot and cold meals. Now, I tried to do the ratio that I probably learned sometime in school, if 9 months is to this, and I think it comes out to projected at 20,952 meals is what we'd expect to serve by the end of this fiscal year, the end of this calendar year. We always like to talk about it being more than just a meal, because in addition to the hot, nutritious meal, we've had our chef with us about 8 or 9 years now, so the food has been very consistent. It is rare indeed that we ever get a complaint about the meals. That simply doesn't happen. So Joanne provides them. People understand that the meals are nutritious. We try to be aware of people's needs for limiting salt and so on and so forth. So the meals are very well received. But in addition to that, there's a face-to-face contact every day. And oftentimes, we're the only face-to-face contact that individual might have in a given day. Now, we can't stay there and talk for 20 minutes because we have a route and a certain number of meals to deliver, but we can exchange conversation and pleasantries, and almost every time I've delivered a meal, people want to say something. People want to chit-chat. One of my older brothers was an elementary school teacher, so there was one gentleman that used to tell us a joke every time we delivered meals. And I had heard them all because Jim was an elementary school teacher, so I knew them all. But you listen because it's important for him to be able to share that. One of the other experiences we had just this summer was our driver showed up at a house, and we usually, with permission from the individuals, we knock, announce Meals on Wheels, and then walk in, because oftentimes it's difficult for people to get to the door. So this time, our 2 drivers did that, and no response. They came in. A woman was sitting on the couch, and they called a little louder because she had hearing difficulties, and still no response. And then as they came over to her, they noticed the meal from the prior day was sitting there on the table uneaten, and she had passed away, sitting on the couch watching TV. So we have a protocol in place for that. The drivers first called 911. So the police and the EMT showed up within, I think, 4 minutes. And we also called Karen, our coordinator, so that she can contact the family. Now, Chief Benson saw me a couple days after that at a meeting and said he was very pleased with the fact that our volunteers knew exactly what to do, followed that procedure, could tell that the meal was delivered yesterday, probably around this same time. There was nothing in the logbook indicating there was a problem at that time, so somewhere between the delivery of that meal that day and the next is when the woman passed away. Not a bad way to go, sitting on your couch watching TV. But also by Karen calling the family gave the family the chance to begin the plan that they had in place for the woman's eventual passing away. So it's a lot more than just the meal. So in the month of October, and actually we just did it today, we send out an annual appeal letter because we are extremely fortunate in Hyde Park to have many, many families and individuals and businesses, fraternal and civic organizations that support what we do. The meal payments cover about 2/3 of our expenses, so we always have an amount of money that we have to raise every year. We have a great board of directors that simply dig in and work on that each year. So the letter went out today in the mail, so if you don't receive a letter personally within the next 2 or 3 days, you can go to our website at mealsonwheelsofhp.org, and you could make a donation there either through PayPal or a credit card. At that same website, you can apply for meals, or you could apply to volunteer if you'd like to assist us as well. I think it provides a great service for the families in Dutchess County. It's really about the dignity of choice, the person to remain in their home in Hyde Park because it's their home, that's where they want to be, with a little bit of support. That would be a whole lot more efficient in terms of money than going to a facility. So you can also contact us at 229-5896. So I had a meeting one time and by mistake gave my home number, but that's okay. We took several calls along that way, so it's 5896. So the calls would go to Karen, who's there in the morning, up until about 11:30 when our drivers leave to deliver the meals.
Can you just repeat the website one more time,
Yep.
please?
mealsonwheelsofhp.org.
Thank you.
Is that the number, Jack, they would call to, if they wanted to get onto the program?
Yep, yep.
229?
229-5896, or you can actually apply online as well. We have an application on there. Oftentimes, it's a family member completing that information, so you can do that online. Probably more than half of the referrals now come online. People use that.
And how long is the lead-up time in order for someone to
I
obtain?
mean, you can call and we can have somebody out to visit you within a day or two, and you can oftentimes start the following day,
Oh,
because
great.
we know it's important.
Sure.
So once a person comes out and does the interview in your home, that information comes back. We figure out which route, based on where you live, which route it fits in. Andrea and Karen works on that with Clayton Robertson and figures out which route it goes on. That's why the routes change all the time. So when people say you're late, we say, well, as we explained to you in the beginning, the routes will change, and so we're not always going to be at the exact same time. But usually within a day or two, we can get the meals out to you. I've had the experience where I've done an interview one day and the person actually started the following day.
That's
because
great.
it seemed to be a critical situation.
And how many volunteers do you have?
How many what?
Excuse me, volunteers.
All told, we probably have, in combination with regular drivers and backup drivers, probably about 95 or 100 people. We have 10 people each day that come in to drive the 5 routes.
Right.
We have a driver and a second person, a navigator. Plus, we also like 2 people going into a house, not a single person
Sure.
going in. And then we have 2 people that come in each day, different people to help prepare the desserts and the sandwiches for individuals.
Sure.
And then we have substitute drivers as well, and substitutes for the people who kind of work in the kitchen.
And
It's
how-
really, it's a very humbling organization to be involved in, and humbling also to see the support that we get from people in the community, which without that support of our volunteers and without the support of the community, we simply can't do what we're doing.
And how long personally have you been involved?
My wife thinks it's about 19 years, but that's incorrect. It's about 9.
No. Well, you're very dedicated, and
Thank
as
you.
are all your volunteers. They're just
Thank you.
wonderful. So
And it's been a pleasure. You've
And,
delivered
yeah,
meals
it's
with
been
us,
great
and
to
Joe has
come with
delivered
you,
meals with
yeah.
us. I think the one time Joe came, we had students from Marist College volunteer,
yes.
and he got to go with Julius Jones and
Les.
and Les. He
Les,
said,
yeah.
they get college students, I get Julius and Les? It's the way it worked out, Joe. It wasn't personal.
You know, I'm in and out of the church building a lot, and so I see them in the kitchen working, and I see the drivers coming back, them leaving, and it runs like clockwork.
Yeah.
It's really amazing how
Yeah,
many people are
Several people
involved.
who've come in, and during March, we have our March for Meals. That's where we encourage people to come in, and elected officials as well as students from Marist join us. And that's when they really see how this whole thing operates, and it really does operate extremely well.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of drama. Everybody knows how it's going to be. You know the routes are going to change. The information that's put on the bag that goes in one cooler has to be accurate so that we're giving the right
Right.
food to people. We had the experience one time where one of our drivers, there was a special meal because the person had limited salt or something, passed that along to somebody by mistake, realized it at the next house. By the time they came back, the person had already thrown it out. So he went to the store and bought her a lunch. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but that's the kind of dedicated people we have.
Definitely.
A couple of years ago, we had a 93-year-old woman finally discontinue driving after 93 years.
gosh.
Just,
yeah, wonderful.
and we've had some people where we just started our 44th year. We've had people who've been a part of the organization for 40 years.
Wow,
Very impressive, very impressive. So,
definitely
Very
is.
important.
yep.
Well, thank you so much. If you would like to share any posts with us, I'd be happy to put it on our town Facebook
Excellent.
page, and just send those over to me, and we could get those up tomorrow. And it's the month for donations, I
Yes, it
understand.
is.
Right?
Yep.
So I'm sure that it'd be great to support you. and
Thank you
good
very
work.
much, I appreciate
Okay,
that.
well,
Before I leave, I just want to say thank you to Ken, because we had an issue with an earlier topic that came out about lawns being kept a certain way.
Yeah.
And there was one just outside of our development that made it very difficult to see
Sure.
onto Quaker Lane, where the speed limit is 55. So,
Yeah.
you know, you don't want to pull out there when people are coming down to 55 miles an hour, but Ken assisted with that, got it cut down, some trees that were broken were cut down, so visibility improved, so I really appreciate
I'm
that.
glad to hear that. Yeah, we've really stepped up that initiative.
Yeah.
And we have a
Yeah.
good, very
Yeah,
excellent
and that-
employee, and
That's clearly a safety issue.
It is.
My wife, who's much
She's
smaller than I
a
am,
petite girl,
it's even
yes.
more difficult for
Yes.
her to see out.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you
Well,
on that.
Thank you.
Much
We
Thank
appreciate
you,
all that
Jack.
you do.
Yeah,
God, it's
appreciate
very
it.
important, Jack. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
See you
Thanks,
again.
Jack.
Thanks so much. Okay, so we do have an item on the workshop for the preliminary budget, and, you know, we've been kind of going through this again with the fine-tooth comb. Ken and I met with the police chief and the highway super last week, and then Joe and I met with the recreation director, and, you know, I think it's a pretty typical pattern, wouldn't you say, Howie, that people submit a budget with lots of wishes in there, and they don't get them. But we've been pretty good to Howie because he's good to us. So I hope that, you know, you've all had an opportunity to kind of look through it. One of the items that we've talked about quite a bit is paving, additional monies for paving. And, you know, this year we were able to float a bond to pave an additional, I don't know how many extra roads we got out of that bond, but many, and many additional miles. And so for this year, in order to stay under the cap, we did not budget additional funds for additional paving beyond the CHIPS money. But what we've had conversations with Howie on what we would do at the end, when we close the books for 2018, and if there are funds that are left from his from his studious management of the tax dollars, or diligent management of the tax dollars, we can take a look at us doing additional paving, or possibly funding a piece of machinery. So that's one of the things that we kind of focused on. And as far as the police budget, we are working with our new chief on controlling expenses, particularly overtime, which, as you all know, is something that really drives our budget, especially the police budget overall. It's a
30%.
Yeah, it's a 30% of our budget, and so we've really asked for the chief to dig in and find ways to manage that overtime. And so he's looking at doing some additional recruitment of the police dispatchers, right, to fill in some of the holes that we have there, and also some part-time officers. So that looks good. Rob's, you know, again, digging in. You know, police always have needs too. They had a number of requests for different vehicles, additional vehicles, but we really did not fund those at this point. We are kind of analyzing their fleet, and it seemed as if there were a couple of spares that were existing within the police fleet. So we're taking a very hard look at that, and the preliminary budget did not have funds in for additional vehicles. So as far as recreation goes, there were some requests for additional staff, right, Joe?
Right.
But we declined to do that as well. There are repairs that we are doing to the repairs and just general maintenance to each of the parks. The big projects we are trying to do with grant money. And I think overall, that's the highlights of the budget meetings. I don't know if, did I?
Yeah, no, I think you've hit them all. I know that, you know, over the past, like with the police department, Chief Benson has done a wonderful job. I mean, we're even purchasing used vehicles. I mean, you know, to
Yeah.
save money. You know, we're really watching, you know, my father always said, if you watch the pennies, the dollars come. And really, each department head has really been doing that and working diligently. And, you know, you know, we do a lot with the small amount we receive. You know, you think of, you know, the parades, the music in the parks, 24-hour service with our police department. Our highway's really a 24/7 position, you know, when the storms are, you know, it could be a windstorm, a rainstorm, a, you know, a tree fall down at 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, how many of these guys are out there. And, you know, we had the major hurricane this year, and we had to go out and get an emergency chipper, and, you know, so it's still to be able to do all that we do and stay under the tax cap is it's a tough thing, but, you know, I know you've made tough decisions and had tough conversations.
Doesn't always make me the most popular person.
No,
in town hall.
no, that is for sure. You know, sometimes I come in town hall, I just want to keep my head down, and, because, you know, but, you know, that's what we're elected to do.
Well, you know, it is
But
definite-
yet, there's still services that we need to provide, and I think we provide those well, and, you know, we have really good employees here for the town that really care, and not only do they work for the town, but they also volunteer in the community and live in this community, and so I'm really thankful for all the partnerships that we have here, so.
Yeah, it's good. Well, anyone else have any comments?
I'd love to give everybody whatever they ask for. I really would.
You'd love to
yeah.
be Santa Claus.
I would
right?
like to be Santa Claus, yeah, but
well,
there's a bill for
You
that.
got
so.
the beard and, but.
I agree with Kenny, though. We got great workers for the town. You know, I run into them, talk to them all over, and I'm very proud of them. I wish we could give everything they ask for, but that's impossible to stay under the cap, for sure.
Well, it really is a balance between providing services as efficiently as possible and controlling the tax levy. And I think we've done a really good job at it, and it takes constant effort. And we had the state auditors have been in town hall, and I had really nice compliment from her today, and she said that Hyde Park is one of the best run towns that she'd been in, and she was really very.
All right.
And she
Nice.
wasn't particularly soft and fuzzy, as you can imagine, as a state auditor.
Never
but,
are.
you know, it did feel good to get that positive feedback. And I think one of the things that we have really focused on, and a lot of times it actually slows the process down, is obtaining grant funding to do the special projects. And it really takes a lot of additional time, but that's why we've been able to get a lot of projects done and still stay under the tax cap. And so, you know, one of those is the sewer project that we've been working on for a number of years. And at our next meeting, we should be awarding the map plan and report proposal to one of the engineering firms that applied. And that was funded by a $75,000 county shared service grant. And, you know, in retrospect, it probably added another 9 months to the process, or maybe
know
not,
about that,
maybe,
but-
but 6 months anyway, to have to go through those additional steps. But at the end of the day, 75,000 is 1.5% of the tax cap. So we're glad that we did that, and so we're moving ahead with all those projects with funds from grants. So
Can I just,
yeah,
sorry.
sure, no, go ahead.
I just wanted to thank all the department heads, because I know that, you know, I went and read through all the requests, and, you know, we all, in all of our own jobs, we know that, you know, what you want for your department is just what you think you need to do the best job. I mean, no one's just trying to get more stuff. Like,
Yeah, of
everybody wants
course.
to do a good job. And so, and I absolutely respect that, and like everybody said, wish that we could fulfill every one of those things.
Yep.
And I appreciate all the departments, you know, understanding that and working with what we can provide each year.
Yeah, and I think that in the meetings, that everybody had the same goals. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I think it was a very, you know, the effort was very well, you know, done. Everybody was working towards the same goal, and everybody understood, you know, so.
Okay, so I think our next meeting is October 29th, and is that right?
Broke into the new calendar. October.
I have October
Yes,
22nd.
October so we do have a special meeting next Monday as well, so probably more budget discussion at that point.
I think we
but-
have one for every Monday
Yeah,
this
yeah.
month here.
Mhm.
But TC had sent an email earlier today and basically is advising that we go forward with the tentative budget as the preliminary budget because it is under the cap.
Yep.
But-
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yep.
Okay, you guys are all good with that? You
Yes.
don't see
Yes.
any, okay,
Yep.
so then we'll
Yeah, I
plan on
mean,
that
I
for
went through it and I didn't see
anything that,
I mean,
yeah.
no, it seemed like we fulfilled
You know,
most
it's
of
a,
the-
it's a
the big
conservative
needs.
budget.
Yeah.
And, you know, we don't want to get into a position where we over-project revenues or under-project costs. That's very dangerous when towns do that, so.
And of course, we change it, you know, month by month. TC
Right.
keeps careful track of it, so if we do
Through
end
the
up
budget
having more revenues than
modifications.
we anticipate, or, you know, we can
Mhm.
always modify it as we go along.
And
Okay.
I think Howie said there's gonna be no snow until at least January 1st.
Oh, great, you
Yeah.
put your order
I
in?
think that's what Howie said.
It really would be.
Like
Well,
Camelot.
actually, that's a great,
That's right.
great example. We were able to get all the repairs at the
Salt shed.
the salt shed and the new roof with a grant. So that's all good. But not the fuel tank that we need to replace tonight. Yeah. Okay, so we have a number of resolutions that we'll move on to, but I'd like to make a motion to change the agenda and put number 16 as first, because we've had our new employee waiting very patiently here, and I want to make her wait through all the resolutions. So can I have a motion to change the agenda and put number 16 as the first?
I make that motion.
I second it.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So Emily, would you like to start?
I'd love to. Resolution 101516 of 2018, resolution authorizing the Hyde Park Town Board to appoint part-time account clerk Heidi Peters.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
And thank you, Heidi. You come very highly recommended, wonderful references, and you're going to be helping us out in the, with the payroll, so I know people will be happy about that. So thanks, and look
Congratulations.
forward to
Welcome on board.
seeing you
Yeah,
tomorrow.
welcome on board.
Okay, well,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
So Dave,
Second.
yeah.
All right, now the first resolution. Resolution 1015-1 of 2018, resolution amending resolution number 10-1-1 of 2018, authorizing the town supervisor to submit the 2019 New York State Office of Children and Family Services Youth Development Grant through the Dutchess County Department of Community and Family Services for the Hyde Park Recreation Learn to Swim program.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1015-2 of 2018, resolution authorizing entrance onto the properties located at 10 Mulford Avenue, Statsburg, and 2 Rimph Boulevard, Poughkeepsie, to bring the property into compliance with the standards of Chapter 85-5B of the Town Code, and to assess the cost of such action against the property as a lien and charge on the same.
Second.
And our deputy building inspector could not be here tonight, but he did email me and said that he had been by both of them and that they were still on mode, so. So we have a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
So how soon does this go into effect then?
Well, we
Is-
actually already have one. This is just superseding that.
No, I mean, this particular, for these particular properties?
They have a week after the notice.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm wondering, how soon they're gonna get
Oh,
moved, I'm sorry.
Before, I didn't know if you were referring to the grass maintenance law.
No, I'm sorry.
So what's your question, is when they're gonna do it?
Yeah,
They have been able to work it into their schedule.
but this is the last step then, there's not another step after this?
No.
Okay, cool,
7 days once they get the notice, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
great, because I know the one on Mulford
And
has
that's
been a
passed.
problem for a long
Yes,
time, so
okay.
that's exciting.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, sure.
That's a great little law.
It works well.
Resolution 1015-3 of 2018, resolution accepting the proposal for the replacement of the diesel fuel tank and installation of a cement fueling pad at the Hyde Park Highway Garage.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
What was that?
Does that come with a truck? Sorry, Howie.
Sure.
Resolution 1015-4 of 2018, resolution approving budget revisions to the town of Hyde Park for the period of September 2018, budget revisions number 2018-09.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1015-5 of 2018, Resolution canceling the special meeting scheduled for Tuesday, November 13th, 2018.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1015-6 of 2018, resolution authorizing 2018-2019 grant application to the Justice Court Assistance Program, JCAP.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1015-7 of 2018, resolution approving the names of the proposed roads for the enclave at Hyde Park subdivision.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1015-8 of 2018, resolution authorizing the release of the balance of escrow from the Town of Hyde Park Zoning Board of Appeals according to resolution number 18-BZ.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 1059 of 2018, resolution authorizing the release of the balance of escrow for the Town of Hyde Park zoning administrator.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1015-10 of 2018, resolution authorizing Town of Hyde Park zoning administrator Kathleen Moss to carry over accrued vacation time.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1015-11 of 2018, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to submit the community development block grant application for the fiscal year 2019 for improvements to the Green Tree Town Park located at 21 Green Tree Drive North.
Second.
And do we need a roll call for that? Yeah, may I have a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Svensson.
Aye.
Councilman Ray.
Aye.
Councilman Marine.
Aye.
Councilman Schneider.
Aye.
Supervisor Rohr.
Aye.
Is it me again? I'm
Yes.
sorry, I'm off
Yeah.
tonight because we started on the last one. Resolution 1015-12 of 2018, resolution adopting local law F of 2018 entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 90 of the Town Code with regard to obligations to maintain sidewalks.
Second.
And I think we need a roll call for this as well.
Councilwoman Svensson.
Aye.
Councilman Ray.
Aye.
Councilman Marine.
Aye.
Councilman Schneider.
Aye.
Supervisor Rohr.
Aye.
Resolution 1015-13 of 2018, resolution adopting local law G of 2018 entitled the Town of Hyde Park Grass Maintenance Law.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Do that one too, though?
You want to do a roll call on that one?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Svensson.
Aye.
Councilman Ray.
Aye.
Councilman Marine.
Aye.
Councilman Schneider.
Aye.
Supervisor Rohr.
Aye.
Resolution 1015-14 of 2018, resolution amending the town fee schedule for administrative costs for correcting and/or addressing a violation of the town's grass maintenance law.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the last one, resolution 1015-15 of 2018, resolution adopting a local law to override the tax levy limit for fiscal year 2019 pursuant to general municipal law, section 3C, as local law number H of the year 2018.
Second.
Second, may I have a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Svensson.
Aye.
Councilman Ray.
Aye.
Councilman Marine.
Aye.
Councilman Schneider.
Aye.
Supervisor Rohr.
Aye. Okay, great.
Before we finish, could I just say something about Scottsburg?
Sure,
if you
please.
have a minute. Yeah, I just wanted to let anyone know who hasn't been in the loop on what the town has been working on in Scottsburg. Howie's been there every time it rains. I mean, my gosh, every time it rains, it's just a sinking feeling of what is happening in Scottsburg. The flooding this year has been really unreal, mainly because once the ground gets saturated, every time there's more rain on those clay soils, it just runs off so fast. But Howie's been up there constantly, quickly got all the pipes and basins cleaned out just to make sure there wasn't anything impeding the flow, had a camera sent through the pipes. In the meantime, we've had the town engineer out there looking again at whether we might be able to change the pipes and change the drainage within the hamlet, and the engineers are taking a look at that. And really the ultimate solution is to get the detention ponds built on the golf course. Aileen's been in touch with the New York State Parks and also our state senator assembly member about that. I know Warren's doing some legal research, so it's sort of all hands on deck with the Statsburg situation and a few different angles that we'll be following up on. But just thank Howie for being on top of that. and everyone for pitching in, and I hope that, I hope it stops raining.
Has there been any response from Senator Serino's office about that at all, do you know?
No, I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm going to be calling, I'm waiting for the second report from Howie, and then seeking to set up a meeting with Linda Cooper, and enlisting the support of Dee Dee Barrett and Senator Serino, because really, as Emily said, it's about building the detention ponds, because there's just too much water coming off the golf course. So we will be following up on that. As Emily said, Warren is looking into some of the other legalities of how we attend to those pipes that are on private property.
Yeah, most of the pipe distance actually travels through private property and under people's home septic systems. So it's not a simple thing to fix. So, if it were easy, it would have been fixed years ago, right?
Right. But Howie did discover, along with the contractor who was working on the basins, that one of the pipes is not diverting the water to another area. Is that right, Howie?
Yes, it's not going north.
Yeah, so.
There's a creek that goes north of the golf course, and they believe there's a clogged pipe behind hole 18 on the golf course, and that keeps the water from heading north, is pushing it south towards the village.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm really thankful that they went out there and you went and found that. So hopefully we can get that addressed quickly once we get that report in.
But, you know, we want to have all the information
Right.
compiled before we ask for that meeting, so. So the pipe that's behind 18, that's on the golf course?
Yes.
Oh, wow, okay, so.
Good. Okay, so.
I'd like to say one more thing.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Another shout out to Howie, a much smaller water problem. Yates Avenue, this is my 5th year on Yates Avenue with that water coming, and Howie's already aware of it and is gonna look into it and see if we can prevent us from salting it and plowing it, and maybe what we do in the winter. As, I think that was your route, you told me.
It was my
So
own.
you're well aware of what's happening there, and I appreciate your help on that, and the neighbors do also. And that you were on that too with your legal. That's
Pleased to
it.
get that email.
Okay, so just one last item that Donna let me know that a former Hyde Park Town clerk passed away recently, Florence Hyde.
Oh.
And she was 1 week short of her 101st birthday.
Wow.
And she was town clerk from in the years 1962 and 1963. So we send Florence's family our condolences, and so that's that's a long life.
Good life.
I'm sure it was, so good. Okay, so may I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, good night.
Join.
For that purpose. Yeah, we might as well just walk.
Yeah, I think